Heyo, what's good, everyone? It's Wednesday, February 24th, 2021. Welcome back to THHoopers, Mo Williams' favorite basketball podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Lean. With me, I have Josh Rhodes
Hey guys.
and George Martin.
How is everybody doing?
Shout out Nick the Bulls fan. All right, to everyone listening, we're happy to have y'all. And also remember to check us out on YouTube if you haven't. I've been lying. We're not really on YouTube. I made the intro because I assumed we'd upload it on YouTube. We haven't, but this episode will be on YouTube, so check us out there. On tonight's episode, we're going to be catching you guys up to speed on all the games that went down the last couple of days. We'll see what our social media guru George has found for us in the world of NBA news. And it off, we're going to take a look at all the mistakes that the All-Star Reserve voters made, because oh boy, were there some mistakes. But first, if you like what you hear,
about that?
make sure to follow our socials, all at THHoopers. I'm talking here. We make it a habit here on the podcast sometimes towards the end of every episode to answer guys' comments, questions, even just get some shout outs so supporting the show. Once again, Costa, J Sports, Cole, even though you probably stopped listening to it. Cole's our first listener, but I don't think he listens anymore. So yeah, I'd be interested in that. Go ahead and find us again at THHoopers. Let's go. All right. Monday started off with the Bulls riding a monster. Third quarter run, outscoring the Rockets 46-26 in that span, and ultimately outscoring them 120-100 during the game. This was the one time Levine didn't have a monster game, as Kobe White led them in scoring with 24, as Chi-Town is trying to see if the pros away the cons with him in the starting lineup, aka his bad defense is still our offense. For Houston, nothing but bad news, and they have lost their 8th in a row, and Boogie Cousins jump ship. No Lauri Markkanen or Victor Oladipo in this one, too, by the way. Rockets are now winless without Christian Wood 0-8. Thoughts on this?
I'll let you go first, Josh, because you brought this up before we started recording. So obviously, you have something to say.
It's like pathetic. It's sad because like we were talking about this team even before the season, just like with the team that they had, that they'd kind of be like a borderline playoff team, like a play-in team. And without Christian Wood, they've just like completely dropped everything. It kind of sucks because they have like contributing names. They have like Eric Gordon and John Wall and Oladipo when he's healthy, but they don't really have an identity. And without Harden, and they seem to have been doing phenomenally, especially defensively, with Silas having them play crazy. But now they just don't have an identity, and it just feels like a wasted year for like the old guys, especially Eric Gordon. I feel like he's kind of getting up in age, and I know PJ Tucker's probably on his way out. So it kind of just sucks you're losing the like what talent those guys have left because you can't figure out the identity.
I feel bad just for the fans, like the organization, their owner kind of just, I mean, you look at that trade, it's going to go down really ugly. They gave away James Harden and got Victor Oladipo back. They got
picks.
They got a haul of picks, but I mean,
you're not going to see it in the next 4 to 5 years.
Like they might be bad. And when you trade away a guy like James Harden, they're going to let Depot walk. It was a clear money move. And I don't know, like Josh said, the direction they're going and their identity. I mean, even next year if you have Wall and Wood, I mean, that's not much of a core, especially in the West. It's getting better.
Identity crisis is because they don't have Christian Wood, not because.
I mean, I'm just saying, even next year,
when
if
Wood
you have
was
those
playing,
two,
I coined it. They were a walking 3-and-D team. Like they were playing really good. They still got a good coach.
They were over 500.
Wood will get healthy.
I just think a lot of their contributors are going to be gone. I think they could move Eric Gordon. PJ Tucker's definitely going to be gone by the deadline. Boogie's already gone, which we'll get into soon. And I think Depot walks. So it might be like a young rebuild time where you have a young star in Wood and you kind of just try and see where you go. But I don't know. That's all I have.
On the bright side, forgive me for earlier, but Jashawn Tate is actually he's PJ Tucker.
Yeah, he's pretty nice. Tucker. He is nice.
You just dissed him for no reason a few episodes
I did because I didn't know what he was about, and now here he is putting up consistent numbers. So that's a good sign for Houston.
What are the odds you guys think? It's pure speculation. Next few years, do you think they use all those draft picks in this draft, or you think, they don't have their Morey there anymore, so they're much more reserved front office? But like, let's say a guy like Beal comes out and wants it, like a cat. Like, could you see them, shipping all those? Because they do have a lot of picks now. Like, if a player like Cat comes out and he's on
Christian
trade
Wood
block
times Karl-Anthony Towns front court would be chef's kiss. But I don't think the owner, like, I think he's really cheap, which is the reason why he brought in
very cheap,
and expiring. And those rookie deals, as long as they're not like first overall picks, are relatively cheap. So I can definitely see him go through the draft, and we've seen it pay out. So it's not a totally bad move.
I mean, I feel like even the cheapest of the cheap might be making a move. I feel like Houston has always been that team where like they kind of watch a team die out and then they have a couple years where it's just like these kind of grindy guys that kind of get them like 9th or 10th, and then they make a big move. We saw that when they transformed from the McGrady Yao Ming era, and then they had a couple years, and then they had the Harden. I feel like this is kind of the same thing. They're gonna have a few
Also
years
known
where
as
it's
the
rough.
Kevin Martin years.
Yeah, not great, but I feel like
Yeah,
it's
I get
the
you,
same
though.
thing.
Well, yeah, and they had, I mean, your timeline matches up. They have the back-to-back chips. Then they kind of have the Steve Francis era, and then they get T-Mac and Yao. So,
Yeah.
it kind of matches up with your timeline. All right, good stuff, guys. Tim Hardaway Jr. continues to try and finish as a finalist for the Jordan Clarkson Award as he drops 29 points on the bench, and the Mavs beat the Grizzlies 92-102. Lucas struggles shooting, but still put up 21, 7, and 5. And for the rest of this game, everyone else stunk, as the game as a whole only had 3 players shoot over 50%. Mavs pick up an important win here, as the Grizz are right on their tail in the standings. Continuing the theme of non-conventional leading scorers, Jimmy Neutron Robinson led the Heat to the 108-94 dub against the Thunder. He also had 6 players scoring double figures and leaned on their defense in this one. SGA had 27 in the L, as Tyler Hero and Al Horford both missed this game. One of our look-aheads was the Blazers matching up with the Suns on Monday, and it very much disappointed, as the Suns are out the Blazers with a 360 no-scope of a third quarter, 132-100. That third quarter I mentioned included a 37-17 run, like I was mentioning, a staple of true contenders, although the Bulls went on 1-2 earlier, so I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. Back on track, though, D-Book had 34 on great shooting, and everyone else did their thing, including regular starter Frank the Tank Kaminsky with 3 points on 4 shots. As for Portland, everyone struggled on both ends, as they give a 132 and also couldn't get a bucket unless it was from Dame. We'll get to them later as they played the Nuggets. But George, what did you see from this game, as I believed it was your look ahead?
It was my look ahead, and it was my look ahead because of a potential first round matchup. And I wanted to see how the defense would work for both teams, because the Suns have really good wing defenders and guard defenders that they could take in the backcourt. I get CJ isn't playing, so it's hard to get a big picture, but Gary Trent had a really, really bad game shooting wise. So that was something I noticed.
What was the shooting? I know it was bad, but what was it exactly?
4 for 18 from the field. And basically with the Suns, what I've been wanting to see from them is how their offense operates as a total. And Chris Paul, even though he had a woeful shooting night, he really kept that offense afloat and kept it moving, and they were in rhythm. DeAndre Ayton and Booker had great nights. Mikal Bridges played really good defense. He didn't show up much in the box score, but he just makes a lot of hustle plays and defends well. And that's really what I wanted to see out of the Suns, because with the Blazers right now, like, yeah, they went on a winning streak, but it's still hard to see their ceiling, like we said, because of their injuries. But from what I wanted to see out of the Suns, I got. So that's pretty good.
Fair. Joshua.
George.
No
George
crumbs.
kinda,
It wasn't.
No
it
George
wasn't.
kind of ate
His,
this up. No crumbs, but I would
No
like to. I would
crumbs.
like to add on top of that. Suns are 9-1 in their last 10, so that is very impressive.
Suns are nice so far.
Yeah.
CP3 All-Star. The Jazz got back on track after they held the Clips, meet the Hornets 110-132 thanks to a stellar 41-20 run in the fourth. Donnie Mitchell led the Jazz in scoring with 23, but as Utah always does, it was by committee, as 7 players scored in double figures and 4 of them had over 20. As for the Hornies, they were right in this one until the fourth, so nothing to be ashamed of. Although it appears Melo has gone full shot chucker as he put up 21 on 20 shots in this one. Final on LA was 127-124 Wizards, as Russell Westbrook in the Beal bunch had the Wiz rolling on a 5-game win streak. This game went to OT, and the Lakers had double-digit leads. Still have a rocky relationship, although this time they weren't coming back from one, but instead giving up a lead that ballooned to all the way to 17. Braun had 31 in 44 minutes, as everyone on the Lake Show struggled to have a high shooting percentage, unless your name was Montrezl Harrell, who shot 50% from the field but with the bench in the fourth. George, I want to get quick thoughts on this one. All right, you got like a minute max. All right, just tell us what you saw here. Just tell us what you saw
because I'll go berserk if you give me more than that. Just big picture, I guess. Our shooting woes, we've been in a really bad slump for about 15 games now, and I just hope that's a product of being fatigued. And, we've had a lot of consecutive games, like no COVID issues, which is a good thing. So we're pretty tired. the defense, the rotations were bad. A lot of the times we wouldn't switch or rotate well, and there'd be a guy open in the corner for 3. Basically, this is how a lot of the games are going to be without AD and Schroeder. Schroeder comes back in a few
30
games.
seconds.
Thankfully.
30 seconds left on the clock.
He has 30 seconds.
Basically, what I just want to see before All-Star break is better shooting from us, and yeah, that's really about it. Just the shooting woes have
Just
been
shooting
the
and
biggest
health,
concern. Yeah, that's it.
Well, it better be because you had 15 seconds left. But
I'm improving.
thank you. I doubt Josh has anything to add. But anything from the Wizards side, you see anything here? Even some Russell Westbrook? Because I know you don't like Russell Westbrook. I know you hate the guy. But he showed up
No
looking
Russ
sly.
slander tolerated.
I am a fan of Bradley Beal being in competitive playoff basketball. So if Russell Westbrook is now doing the things that gets him there, then I'm okay with that.
Fair enough. All right. Moving on to Tuesday. This just in breaking news. The Atlanta Hawks are down bad. Like the Hawks allowed the Cavs break their 8-game losing streak on a Lamar Stevens game-winning dunk with 2 seconds left on the clock.
Ooh.
Lamar Stevens, a rookie. For the rest of the Cavs,
What you know about Lamar Stevens?
The rest of the Cavs, though, Sexton led them in scoring with 24, and 4 others scored in double figures. For the Hawks, yikes, man, they're missing their usual suspects. Plus, Cam Reddish sat this one out. They're bad on defense and on offense. All-star snub candidate Trae Young put up 29 on 9 for 27 shooting. Pray for Quavo, boys. Pray for Quavo. Battle of the basement as Pistons take down the Magic 105-93. Pistons took control of this one in the third and didn't look back. And they had 5 players scoring double figures, including their leading scorer, Saban Lee.
What is going on?
They got a new weekly 20-point scorer every week. It's awesome. Last week it was Cedric Bay, and then they got this guy now.
Definition of by
Josh
committee.
Jackson.
No, Josh Jackson off the bench.
Sekou Doumbouya next week, folks. Prediction.
All right. Vooch had 29 on bad shooting minutes after being named the Eastern Conference All-Star Reserve. Nets keep on rolling without KD as they continue their West Coast roadie in Sacramento and win 118-127. This game was over by halftime, and Bruce Brown led the Nets and scored with 29 points and also led them in baseline shimmies with 1.
Did you see his reaction to seeing that he got 29?
Yeah,
pure joy.
I know he's very young. They did the Rockets thing where they just find
very
random 3
underrated on defense.
Yeah, he's nice.
Yeah.
Harden also at 29, triple double as well, 11 boards, 14 assists.
Josh's MVP.
Fox had 27 in the L, but I want to say something about this game. It sold me on the Nets. I know that sounds dumb because obviously we all knew they're a legit contender, but they might be my favorites now for 2 reasons. One, normally like when the team goes small, like the Rockets, it wasn't their defense really, it was their rebounding. They don't struggle rebounding, especially because they have like James Harden getting 11 boards a game. Like he's a constant. They could put in DJ, who's a good rebounder, and then KD 7 feet, so he gets rebounds. So and they have good perimeter defense, and like mentioned Brown, Harden. If you want to buy into that narrative, which I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure about Harden on defense yet, but
you're always welcome when you're ready.
Plus the team's praising him. And then 2. They're on this win streak, and they play like the Clippers, the Lakers, and they're holding them below. I think the highest a team scored, like contender wise, was 110.
I think it was the Suns when they came back from that big deficit, but yeah. I get what you're saying.
So they're holding those teams down.
Under what was it, like 42 in the second half?
And they also didn't have Kyrie, so or KD, yeah.
But I mean that's why you give the Sacramento Kings 118. Who cares? Because like Josh said, like Shaq said, they get timely stops. And it just so happens when they play contenders, they treat the whole second half as a timely stop. And like I'm really buying into it here. Are you guys sold on? I know we all believe the Nets can win a title, obviously. That's not a question. But are you sold on their defense?
Josh, you want this?
Lehman's in the back seat and I've been in the passenger. So there's one more seat in the car
trunk.
left.
I've really been a proponent of their defense and it just not translating to the playoffs because
I still think they need one more big man. But
if they get Andre Drummond,
that's it.
They are right there. They are the top for contender.
Man, Harden's gonna get a ring, and my narrative is gonna be complete.
They might be my favorite. They're my favorite right now for sure. Deep diving, I don't know, but
I think I'm gonna wait till after All-Star break to naming another.
I need to see the Lakers on like a legit, like once AD's fully healthy, no of this sleepwalk BS. I need like a quick 5-game, 6-game sample, and that'll tell me. But I mean, the Nets have, especially this past road trip where they went 5-0 and they're on their 7-game win streak. They've scared me, man. Like,
no fear for you guys there, because there shouldn't be, of how are they going to integrate KD? He's been out and now they're hooping.
No.
You guys are, we're smarter than that, right?
And KD's also their best defender when he like wants
They're
to
gonna
be.
get so much better when they
Oh
have
my
Kevin
God.
Durant.
It's not like Embiid got stopped by Pascal Siakam. If he can do it, then KD might be able to do it.
Well,
Who
Nick
knows?
Nurse also knows how to coach against the greats.
It's Steve Nash, man. I mean,
and Amari Stoudemire. So
and D'Antoni. They just have the
Who?
Phoenix Suns. D'Antoni's on that staff.
I know. All right. Enough Nets talk. Moving on. We're going to the other side of New York. Julius Randle's All-Star night welcoming was ruined by another All-Star named Wardell Curry, also known as Stephen, as he went to MSG and left with 37 points and a 114-106 W. Randle led them in scoring with 25-point double-double. One other note, Warriors also played with some centers this game, and Wiseman had 14 points off the bench. Sixers avoid falling to the Raps 2 times in a row, which isn't something all Eastern Conference contenders can say. And win in Tampa, 109-102. Raps finally lose a game where Kyle Lowry doesn't play, which was an irrelevant stat anyways, with them being 10-0 without him in 2021, but was still going around the social media circle nonetheless. Simmons, after being named an All-Star, put up 5 for 11 shooting on 15 points, which is weird because all he does is shoot layups, but oh well. Norman Powell led the Raps in scoring again with 24, as Raps are begging him to keep playing like this until they ship him to Cleveland for Drummond. You got something to say there?
I mean, this was my game to watch, and
And what do you want to say? Did you watch it?
They were up 20 at the end of the first quarter, and then I stopped watching.
So what'd you see? Casual.
I don't know why Pascal Siakam is playing this crazy, insane Joel Embiid. Joel went 3 of 13, and it blew my mind. But
The
Tobias Harris showed up, and their second All-Star also showed up. So he might not have won 11 of 11. No, Ben Simmons did a good job. More notably, we don't really need to harp on it too much, but the way he plays Fred VanVleet on defense, it was phenomenal. It was a definite switch from what we saw on Sunday.
For as much as I hate Simmons and how much you guys are going to hear me hate Simmons in about probably 20 minutes, he's an all-NBA defender. He'll probably make first or second team the next 5 years as long as there's no injuries that hampers his athleticism. Yeah. Mavs win 107-110 due to the second game winner of the night, as Luka hit a deep 3 with only seconds left to secure the W. Luka had a near triple-double at 31, 10, and 8. While the Celtics side, Brown, Tatum, even Kemba had over 20 points, but the supporting cast did literally nothing. Mavs win this one without Porzingis or Kleber and are now the 9 seed. Celtics now below 500, which is not good if your name rhymes with Fanny Lames. Bucks get back to doing their thing, which is beating up on a bad team and beat the T-Wolves 122-139 at home. Giannis 37, 8 and 8, and Cat led the Wolves in every category with 26, 8 and 11 assists. And that's it. I'm done talking about the Bucks beating bad teams. When the Bucks beat a good team, last guys to go more in depth for me. But I'm getting sick and tired of this. They lose to contenders and then they beat up on these teams to keep their record.
Are you saying the Bucks are frauds?
They are frauds. They are absolute frauds. I Nets here for James Harden. I'm like, the Bucks still can play D on them. No, they can't. I'm done. I'm done with the Bucks.
Somebody came in very, very angry today.
They dropped the All-Star reserves, man.
I cannot wait for that.
Prime game out in Denver as Blazers continue their mini skid and lose 106-111 to the Nuggets. Jokic continues to keep his name in the MVP convos. He drops 41, 5 and 5, and got really no other help besides an inefficient 24 from Jamal Murray. For the Blazers, their backcourt struggled to stay efficient as Dame and Gary Trent Jr. shoot a combined 16 for 37. Rest of the boys stepped up, though. Shout out to Mel's 24 off the bench and Cantor's 16 and 14 game. What did you guys see from this game? I'll start with Josh.
I was going to say, my turn to talk about the Portland Trail Blazers. I'm going to actually refute your comment. We had a couple goose eggs, Robert Covington, the starter, being one of them. That's not something that you like to see. Blazers lost 3 in a row. This one's probably the closest to win because it was tied going into the fourth. A little worry about Portland just because right now they're short on people, and it's starting to show a little bit. They should have won that Wizards one, and they kind of just ran out of steam in these last couple games. They're just itching for CJ, Zach, anybody, Nurk to come back, because any notable slump, they've lost 3. It's not the craziest thing in the world, but any noticeable slump, 4th or 5th, that can turn into 9th or 10th easily.
I will say this as far as why I said other people stepped up. Dame had 25, Gary Trent 18 on bad shooting, but Derek Jones Jr. Had 18 on a 7 for 9. Cantor 7 for 9. You got me with the goose egg with Rocco. You got me there. But then Mill off the bench. And then not a whole lot else. But I thought they kind of picked up.
I mean, with what they have, it's what they can expect. Honestly, like they're not all gonna have good games all the time, but it's just kind of sucks because they're running like 9 deep and only like 2 or 3 of them can consistently put the ball in the basket. So
for real, yeah. George, anything to
add? Just that Nikola Jokic is one of the best offensive players in the league right now.
Take.
No, I mean, Cantor couldn't guard him for his life. I mean, no, he's just
Cantor can't guard
me.
Life.
I'll put that on my mama. Cantor can't.
And I know.
Me.
And the thing that sucks is a few pods ago, I was hyping up, that their next man mentality was working great and Cantor was providing well.
It's the same thing we saw last time. Damian Lillard's playing out of his mind.
They're just tired.
They're tired.
And honestly,
Lillard's playing out of his mind, and Cantor.
Like, okay, they are missing CJ and Nurk, but in the West, it's so important to have elite defensive guys. And besides Rocco, I don't see that on this team.
Derek Jones Jr.
He's just has length.
Zach Collins. Zach Collins might be one of the best.
Zach Collins cannot stay healthy. He is made of glass and paper, man.
But what if he's healthy?
We thought he was healthy going into round 1 last year.
Isn't one of your favorite players Anthony Davis? And you're talking about glass and paper on the podcast?
Okay. Well, last season he was relatively healthy, and he played through injuries in the finals when it mattered. So I don't want to hear about that.
Fraud injuries, but nonetheless.
LeBron said his foot was black and blue. What do you mean?
LeBron also said, "I'm not tired." Yes, you are. You're playing 40 a night. I know you're tired, LeBron.
Are you saying A
Just
Disney?
be okay with it.
You said A Disney going through fake injuries?
A Disney?
I'm just upset. The nightcap was Wiz Clippers, and unfortunately for me, I am, and you interrupted me. The nightcap was Wiz Clippers, and unfortunately for me, the Wizards' win streak has come to an end as they lose 116-135. Kawhi led them with 32-7 on good shooting, as did PG, 30 on good shooting. For the Wizards, both Beal and Westbrook shot 50%. They also had a Mo Wagner sighting as he had 21. George, how does it feel that the Clips beat the Wizards and the Lakers couldn't?
Oh, we do. What is it? This is literally Twitter.
Did they show Clippers, Isaiah Thomas on the Clippers broadcast?
Clippers run LA. They beat the team that the Lakers couldn't. No, but the Clippers have had really good continuity, and they are a lot better than last season. So that's all I have to say.
They still can't beat good teams.
I didn't put in my recap. I'm looking for Nick Batum. Right? So he 4 points, 2 for 4. So he's still not showing up. But their bench. Bobby Schmidt at 17, Zubac 12.
First day out, he was ready to go.
Luke Kennard 3 points. That's one thing I'll give George. Stupidest contract I've ever seen in my life. It's worse than the Mozgov one. 4 for 7. Oh my!
He's just vanilla Lou at this point.
The reason I like they signed him is because I was like, they need a point forward. That's what Nick Batum has been. And I think they got him for, a Slurpee and a can of Pringles.
It was a minimum deal. Bought out.
It wasn't even sour cream and onion.
I heard this on the Simmons pod. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I think one of the guys he has on was like, I'm not a big fan of Nick Batum just because of what he did. Because the Hornets could really use him right now. They can maybe sign in that 6 spot if they have him and Hayward. But he kind of just got paid and sat down. And they're like, he's washed or release him. He like catfished him. So, like, how do you feel about, like, him doing that just to get to a contender? Do you have any gripes about it?
Players do that. The player movement, they got to do what's best for themselves. I mean, are you really that mad if you're Charlotte? No, because you're thriving. You have a great young team, and Hayward has played well. So, I mean, yeah, he could come off the bench, but with that contract, though, it's better. I think it worked out for the best that you just let him go.
By that statement, everybody starting from like Dennis Rodman, you would have to be mad at because there are a bajillion cases of this. Mm-hmm. So you just can't be mad
at just sitting out when you're completely healthy.
Or not only that, just like refusing to play, and there's a lot of different things where they just don't play to where they're supposed to be
FTA
playing.
has invited you to a party. That's good. Yeah, I just want to get you guys' thoughts on that. I'm not too mad about it, but I'd think about it. I was like, he was just kind of sitting there getting paid at 127 million, and now he's kind of hoping for the Clippers. So, but yeah, I digress. They're fine. That's all the recap.
Here we
George,
go.
it's time for the halftime segment. It's called the halftime for two reasons. Can you name them both?
One, because it's the halftime of our podcast, and two, because I am the half hooper.
There you go. That's the spirit. So tell me what's going on.
So we've had a lot of transactions recently in the NBA world. Earlier today, Rockets released center DeMarcus Cousins after they guaranteed his contract earlier last week. Basically, all I want to ask you guys is, at this point in his career, what's the best place that he can thrive in? So I will start with Josh.
Oh, me. I mean,
That's
there's
good.
a lot of teams that need a center. I'm not gonna say the more obvious one, but Lehman said it. We were talking earlier, and he said it wouldn't help them. But I mean, like Boston could need anybody over the height of 6'10". I think.
Bogey's 6'10".
He's 7 foot.
No, he's not.
He's 7 feet tall.
But he is like a big brute. You don't have small.
He's
tiny
He's DeMarcus Cousins. Regardless, he's like 7 foot, like 250. That's a big man, and they need a big man because Daniel Tice is playing like he's 6'1".
Stop blaming Daniel Tice. Tristan Thompson's the problem.
Slim Shady got put in a blender tonight.
I'm not saying either of them are the solution, but Daniel Tice is at less of a. He was their starting center.
He played like 40. Last like 4 games, he's played like 40 minutes, and I think he's had a combined 8.
He should not
points.
be playing 40. I'll be the first to say that.
So DeMarcus Cousins can help him not play 40 minutes.
DeMarcus Cousins is just Daniel Tice,
but 7 feet and big and offensive. He's so much better than Daniel Tice.
What does Boogie do that Daniel Tice doesn't? I think Boogie's a better passer. He does not have the inside force that he used to be, and I think he still
has better offensive tendencies than Daniel Tice. If you're giving the ball to DeMarcus Cousins in the post, there's going to be a lot more attention to that than if Daniel Tice gets the ball in the post.
Not anymore.
Oh, so you're telling me that?
And you got a team with Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kemba Walker, and you're running Boogie post ups.
Well, it's another option because obviously Kemba Walker doesn't know how to shoot more than 45%.
Lehman, you're also talking like Boogie hasn't had 30 and 10 games this season. I mean, he's not completely washed,
I just think he's not washed by any means, but the Celtics don't need him because they need help on defense. He can help them rebounding, but they need help on defense, and Boogie is not the defensive player.
He's a big, intimidating body. That's what they need.
He's slow. He's not intimidating. Who's going up on the?
Well, you're not going to have him out on the perimeter.
That's what Daniel Tice is doing.
Because they have to, because they don't have a big guy. So they're like, you got to go play on the perimeter.
So you're going to keep Daniel Tice on the perimeter and full time and move Boogie to your block.
What do you think? Okay, we're harping too much on Boston. Where do you think Boogie should go?
I think I think it's kind of an odd situation because he wants to go to a contender and play valuable minutes because he was like, I don't like my backup role. And he's also only targeting contenders, but he's not a starter in this league as far as for contenders. He'd put on like a mid-tier team. Like he could start for the Knicks, a play-in team. He could start for them, but he doesn't want to go there. So I think he's in a very odd situation. And I think, best spot for him is probably, I think he'd be great backing up Bam at Miami, but I think they can use some offense there. Just his shooting as well. He could be
kind of like that.
Kelly Olynyk on steroids.
They need those bodies. Yeah,
they do. Yeah. But I think it's a tough situation for Boogie as far as what he wants as compared to what he's needed for.
Good points by both of you. So moving on, late last night, Shams, our buddy, reported that
friend of the show,
the Lakers would be waiving guard Quinn Cook, and then earlier tonight, another contender, the Nets, decided to waive 3 players that they recently brought back: Noah Vonleh, Josh's favorite free agent acquisition, Iman Shumpert, and Andre Roberson. Now they reported that Andre Roberson and Shumpert will be getting 10-day deals. So,
I thought I was dreaming when that transaction happened.
They brought back everyone. It
was Nets Survivor. They eliminated all 3 of them and then brought 2 of them back.
So basically, the report said that this was like a hard cap money thing at the guaranteed contract deadline. I know nothing about the salary cap, so sure. So where can we expect both of these teams to improve as the buyout and trade deadline comes upon us? I will go with Lehman this time. So Lakers and Nets, where do you think they can go?
Well, I think Nets, they've solved their perimeter issue. I was a big fan of the Iman Shumpert signing. Not all in on the Roberson signing, just because I feel like he's, you've got Bruce Brown and Iman Shumpert who can play 3 and D, and he's kind of just all defense. But then Nelvon is like messing with Josh, but obviously he had no use for that team. He was an offensive big man that couldn't defend, and they didn't need
6'9"
that.
too.
Yeah, exactly.
So not big. He's a forward. 6'9".
He's not a medium man. He's a big man. But
DeMarcus Cousins is small.
For the Nets, I believe Lakers and Nets both have 2 open roster spots now, right?
I know the Lakers do for sure, and then with them bringing 10-day guys,
Nets have like 5.
They traded their whole squad actually.
Yeah.
Nets do not.
Lakers have 2. The Nets will probably have 3 once they sign those 10 days, because I assume they're going to keep those 10.
Yeah.
But they won't take roster spots up right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, answer your question. I think Lakers, I like the Hassan rumor. That's only a buyout thing. But Lakers did get a very key piece last year of the puzzle. Markieff Morris at the buyout. And the Nets, I assume the Nets will do the same. I think the Nets will be bigger in the buyout market just because there's more spots to earn for free agents. Because like Lakers kind of have their first 7 at least kind of locked. For the Nets, it's really, you got your big 3 and then earn your minutes. And I think Bruce Brown will be there, Joe Harris will be there, and their bench is wide open. So I think Nets will be a little more aggressive on the trade market. They also have more needs, but I think they both need a big man. Lakers just for rim protection, and Nets, I think, kind of same. Also boards, but we kind of debunked that. Josh?
I'm just thinking in my head, and I'm gonna have a nightmare about Harden passing to Kyrie, back to Harden, back to Durant, who oops it to DeMarcus Cousins in the NBA Finals.
I don't think Boogie can get off the ground, man.
You'd be surprised. But honestly, yeah, what Lehman said, both of them just kind of need like a rim protector. They kind of just need another guy that can get boards, because love Montrezl Harrell, but the guy is short and we don't have Anthony Davis, so it's been kind of difficult.
He's a big man on offense, kind of a small forward on D.
Yeah, more obvious right now for the Lakers just because we don't have Anthony Davis, but there's a few names out there, like Lehman said, Whiteside, there's Blake Griffin throwing it around there, DeMarcus Cousins just got released, so just big rim protection is really what both these teams need.
Yeah, big fan of Hassan signing if he gets bought out. Also, I'll put it out there. I do think Lakers just want 2 roster spots just in case. I think Quinn Cook, Rip Dad's coming back. I think he is. I think we're going to make one big man signing, and then Quinn Cook's coming back. That's what I think.
I don't see it.
It happened last offseason. We cut him, and then
we literally did that though because it saved us $500,000 or something. We don't save any money by bringing him back.
Did LeBron tweet about Quinn Cook being released?
I don't think he did. So
then he might be coming back. Then he might be coming back. Then he might be coming back.
To be fair,
was that you being caught lacking on Twitter?
No, I said
because
no.
Dellavedova was a restricted free agent after they won. He signed a contract with Milwaukee. They had 72 hours to match. LeBron immediately, hey, yo, big bro, good luck in Milwaukee. Like before they didn't.
To be fair, Quinn Cook did put up an Instagram post back in the summer when he got waived, and then they brought him back. So he was like, "Oh, I didn't." Well,
he's not supposed to know. We're talking about LeBron James, also known as the Lakers front office.
Le GM.
No more Lakers. Move on.
Let's move on. So similar to the start bench cut that we did last episode, I have a rank 3 of these point guards from best to worst. We have Ja Morant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Swipe of the Fox. I'm going to let's go with Josh this time. Switch it up again.
I mean, if we're talking about the cartoon character, he's probably getting ranked last. But if we're talking about
De'Aaron
Fox, I'm going to go with...
That's cookies, bro, for swiping.
I'm going to go De'Aaron Fox 1, Ja Morant 2, and SGA 3. I think Fox should be the obvious one. There's no real reason to go into that. I picked Ja Morant over SGA just because I like Ja Morant's explosiveness and more of his floor general ability. I feel like he has more tools to lead a team better than SGA, and I feel like he's had a little bit of a better year because, he's been dealing with the injuries on his team. And I mean, Shai doesn't really have anybody on his team, but Ja's just been playing phenomenal for the time that he's been playing. So,
well, first off, 2 things. One, not as passionate about this one as the last start bench cut. These are all, these are good guards. I got Fox first, then Shea, then Ja. You said Shea doesn't have anyone on his team. They were kind of hovering around that 10 spot, trying to get that play in. But then his only teammates, like Al Horford, who was playing decent, hurt. And now they're playing all these guys with just some weird haircuts, and they're like 22 years old.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing over in Memphis, Tennessee. So
yeah, and I get for Memphis, I get you because they actually have a squad there, so Ja's expecting it. He's also been doing all this without JJJ. But I do just like Shea. You mentioned the floor generalness for Ja. I think that's pretty even. The explosiveness goes to Ja. And then just the overall bag of tricks they have for scoring. Around the rim, that's Ja. But Shea has everything. He looks like a very mature point guard in this league. He's only in his third year. So that's where I give it to him, just because he's a lot more fundamentally sound. But I know you like guys who are fun to watch. Ja's more fun to watch, but I like SGA.
Shea he's very fundamentally sound, like you said. Like he looks like he's been like a veteran, like in the league, and he's only a 30. It kind of amazes me, but like Ja's been doing the Derrick Rose dunk, so it was still how that gets me.
when they traded in the PG trade, it was like, it's a good piece. He should work out. I don't think they were for sure be an all-star, and he will be an all-star in this league eventually.
Shout out Jay Gardhouse. He was the only one that really thought, oh, dang, we really lost Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Jay Gardhouse also said, only player I would be fine with the Clips keeping is Landry Shaman. He's the only player they traded. So poor Jay Gardhouse, but yeah. Anything else for you, George? Or let me hear your three, actually.
Yes, I was going to go that route. I do agree with you, Lehman, Fox, SGA, and Ja, and it's not like Ja's like terrible. No. This was a really close one. I agree with the SGA more complete package than Ja, but Ja's the more explosive Derrick Rose type where he's running down the lane and dunking, but nothing bad there. And
almost Russell Westbrook-esque, wouldn't you say, Josh?
No, because he shoots the ball a little bit better than Mr. Number 0.
So you only kind of hate him. You only kind of hate him then.
He needs to stop landing the way he does.
What's Derrick-esque. That's what I don't like. I don't like it.
It scares me.
Alrighty. Thank y'all for doing that. Another halftime report down the drain. So Lehman, let's start the second half here.
Well, thank you, George. That was a great time. But moving on, I want to do something fun here. And it's a pretty straightforward question. If you could add or change one rule in the NBA, what would it be? Who wants to go first here?
Josh, you want to go? Or I'll take it. Okay.
George is going to take it.
George is going to take it.
So I got a few, but the first one I want to see. What if we just made the rim smaller? I mean, look at this season. You have so many teams. Joe Harris is shooting damn near 60% from three.
I didn't know he was gonna go with this one.
I did a little switch up because I was thinking, like, look at all these guys having amazing this might be way different than the bubble. You have teams shooting over 40% from three like it's nothing. You have multiple, I think over 20 people average 25 in the league. Like, it's crazy. The scoring, the shooting is at a never before seen clip. If we made it smaller, I mean, could you imagine the old school type of game 7 feels?
I think there's a thing for that. I think Steve Nash sponsored one of those things. It's like a thing you put on the rim and like you have to swish it for it to go in. I think Steve Nash did a commercial on that 5 years ago.
I'm not going to say mine, but I like yours. I want to say this. How about we compromise? We don't make it smaller, but we do double rims. I think that I like that a little bit more than making it smaller.
I mean,
I think like park style double rims would be perfect.
And people often
might as well
complain,
add like bleachers and just like take away
Rucker
the stadium.
Park. We're just playing at Rucker
we can't
Park.
Have people in the stadium, Josh.
One more thing before I let you guys say yours. I just feel like if you did double rims or make it smaller, you'd have to get a lot more creative. You'd have to like score a lot more because there's just a lot of times you come down, you take a pass, you take a contested or a bad 3 shot, or it's at the end of the game, you're down 2 and you take a 3. Set a screen, go, do some dribble moves, take a midi, take a layup, get to the rim, get to the foul line.
So you think the Steph Curry MVP season is like a fraud? Like you're like threes, threes don't belong in the game of basketball.
No, honestly, I feel like if you made the rim smaller, 2016 Steph still does what he does. I think that guy was on him. He
You
wasn't
just
missing.
don't like the Harrison Barnes of the world shooting 45%
Joe
from
Harris
three.
is shooting
does not like-
60% from three. That's ludicrous.
He's also a 3-point
60%.
contest winner. Stop taking the top of the top.
60%. I couldn't even do that in 2K with Troy Dan.
That's
with
because your
my-
stick skills
with my
leave so much
Park
to be
build.
desired.
I shot like
Josh,
43%.
let me hear your rule
Okay.
change.
All right. So some of my childhood trauma comes from the fact that Andrew Bynum didn't know how to walk up and down the court in 2012. So and we've been talking, it's a little bit too fast. A lot of the old heads don't like how quick some of these speedy guys go. So my rule change is your team cannot score or attempt a shot until all 5 players have crossed the half court line. I am sick and tired of watching Joel Embiid and all these other big guys get away with just lounging back. I'm sick and tired
Just
of people
taking
like
plays off. Who do they think they are?
I'm sick and tired of people like George taking possessions
Oh,
off.
come on.
The team is not allowed to score until the Toronto Raptors would be the #1 seed if my rule was in place.
For context, everyone, Josh is talking about our summer rec league in the summer of 2019. I had just come back from a 3-week vacation in Greece. I am completely
You
out
don't
of
have to
shape.
give me the history. I sat you because you
Sunburnt
weren't
and
hustling.
tubby. You showed up wearing a crop top. I was like, what the hell, George? What's
You
going
were
on
not
here?
hustling.
I
so
was
sat
running.
you out.
You pulled me out of the game. You're like, walk one more
Exactly.
time.
I told
didn't
you.
walk.
I told
I
you.
jogged.
Don't-
Light
All right,
jog.
all right,
Lehman,
all
take
right.
it. I'm
All
done
right.
here.
So I'm going to set the scene for y'all. Okay?
Oh no.
You ever been watching a game and the ball goes out of bounds and the refs are just like looking at each other like, I don't know. And then
All
they
the
either
time.
just make a guess or they go to the monitor for 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Not in my fantasy world, all right?
Oh no.
If Adam Silver handed it over to me, I wouldn't, take away the replay system. I wouldn't, add more referees so that way they can see. I would take away referees.
just all together.
And, when the refs don't get a correct call, instead of guessing or spending 15 minutes in the monitor, they just shoot for it. So like the players make their own calls.
This just falls into George's thing. Can you imagine the Nets are like, it's a foul. Oh no, it's not. Joe, shoot for it. And Joe Harris comes off the bench and shoots a 3.
So in my world, the offensive team always chooses to either defer or to shoot for it.
This is a coin flip.
No.
The Nets are shooting for it. They never lose the ball.
So Joe Harris shoots a 3. It goes out of bounds, and Nets are like, our ball. Lakers are like, our ball. He's like, okay. Kyrie, shoot for it. It adds a whole new layer of
Kyrie's
clutch
making
too.
it.
A whole new layer
Joe,
of clutch.
no, they'll just say, okay, Joe, try again. It's going in. 60% of the time, the Nets get their call.
But no, like in true street ball fashion, it's at the top of the key. So Joe Harris, 90% of his makes are off catch and shoot. No, he's got to do the dribble,
James
step
Harden,
into it.
Kevin
So
Durant.
Harden's an issue. I'll give you that. But I'm tired of these refs. They're ruining the game. And I want to go back to good old fashioned shoot for it. Just
There's
like
so much.
add the
There's
shoot for
so
it,
many
the double
issues
rims
with
Well,
this.
I think give me an issue.
We just said it. The Nets can do it. Can you imagine? It's like a very
Okay,
obvious
Nets title
blatant
champs.
shove.
2 through 30 up for grabs. It's like in the dunk contest. Shaq Diallo was in the league to dunk. All right. Now we're gonna start bringing up these fools that are just they do one thing, shoot from the top of the key. That's what they do. And I think it'll create a whole new layer of jobs as far as specialists, the shoot for it specialists.
That's already Joe Harris already does that.
90% of his shots are assisted. He doesn't get assisted this time.
Standing with the ball like that, he could mimic the action. He'd be like, okay, like one fluid motion.
Okay. I wasn't on board with this at first, but now considering that he's helping the economy with the shoot for it specialist, I'm on board.
The roster
That's
spots
so
move
funny.
to 16, and then if the game ends in a tie, no overtime, they just shoot for it.
We're going NHL shootout route.
They just get a racket. Whoever makes 5 first wins.
I think it's foolproof to keep it a buck with you. Like
I
don't-
love that rule. I'm on board.
Okay, right? And then like in a few years, we go half court. But that's not for this segment.
What is this? The All-Star thing?
Hey, that knocks out my rule too. Nobody's
Exactly.
moving on.
Exactly.
But I like
All
it.
right.
I like it.
So if anyone's actually listening, go ahead, drop on our Instagram, drop in the YouTube when we upload this, who had the best idea. I think it's pretty obvious. But I mean, hey, maybe they rocking with refs. Who knows?
I definitely think Josh's was last. Like, yeah, it was kind of like funny, kind of clever, but
I had to fix yours.
Didn't you steal yours? Also?
Hey, we talk about
George,
that.
I did promise you could read because you did go cheating a little bit. You couldn't, fire up the old noggin. You had to go on Reddit.
To be
And I
fair,
wanna
everyone,
hear-
I thought the segment was getting moved to next pod, so I had to go panic and look on Reddit. So
let me hear some of the best ones or the best one from Reddit.
The best one I probably heard was that getting rid of free throws altogether. So
I like that
so this person said it could be either the team gets the possession with one free throw or they just get the possession with a point.
Y'all love street ball rules. It's like, nah, that wasn't a foul.
It was neck and neck between. I wanted to do winner's ball. I thought that'd be so sick.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
The Nets would win. The Nets.
The Warriors. You're forgetting Stephen Curry.
Steph is getting triple teamed and they're begging Draymond Green to shoot a three.
Yeah,
and guess what? Wada. That's how it goes.
Kelly Oubre is going to start breaking from the corner, and Lightyear's Twitter is going to kill him. Another one was that 3-point fouls. They take one free throw from the 3-point line. You get 3 points or you get no points.
And like Twitter's bitching, like they're like, "Oh, you jumped on the free throw." It's like from the 3-point line.
What if you miss a 3-pointer, you lose 3 points? Because
what is this, Jeopardy?
Yeah, if you watch the J Sports Jeopardy, I went for it. Points. That's just how it be.
There's no way they're letting Kelly Oubre shoot the basketball anymore. He is not gonna put the ball in the basket.
The Lakers would legitimately go on a 10-game losing streak right now if you lost points for 3-pointers. Another one, foul out should be at 10 after 6. You get 2 automatic points and the possession.
10? I don't think that's possible.
We're gonna have fucking Ivica Zubac in there slapping hoes around. just can't foul out.
All right.
Great
stuff. I think
guys.
that's enough for now.
Yeah. Maybe we'll bring this back if we in a few episodes.
I will definitely come more prepared next time.
If we think of another one. I kind of gave all 6 of mine here. It's just street ball, in my opinion. I was watching a lot of Like Mike 2 street ball, and it was really like it was
okay.
Inspiring me.
Move on.
It's time to get serious.
We have one last segment.
The All-Star reserves came out on Tuesday. I want to get y'all's thoughts on them. Just a rundown. The West was Dame, Donovan Mitchell, PG-13, AD, Rudy Gobert, CP3, and Zion. Yet to name a replacement for AD as he will be injured. But rumor on the street is it's going to be Book.
It should be.
And for the East, it was James Harden, Zach LaVine, both the Beantown boys, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle, Nikola Vucevic, and Ben Simmons. So just tell me one thing about the reserves. Could be a snub. It could be something funny, like Trae Young being 11th voted player by his peers and didn't get voted in by the coaches. Anything. But I'll start it off. I see no Sabonis. I see no brain cells. What the hell? But I'll start with Josh. Just tell me something.
Here we go.
Tell me an observation about the reserves.
Sit back and watch.
Do you want to finish your segment? You seem a little bit more into this than I am.
Well, I took Sabonis. I thought it was a lock. 22.
You guys both thought it was a lock.
22, 11, and 6 assists.
But
for a 4 seed who lost their third best player to trade, and then a tumor. So yeah, I was a little upset.
I mean, you're barking up the wrong tree here, and I mean, that was kind of my whole like nitpicky point. I mean, this All-Star game is on the fringes of happening because the players might not even want to do it. So it's like, I mean, you might as well make it exciting. Like nobody really wants to watch the All-Star game. That's kind of been like a fan consensus. So, oh yeah, here we are, the All-Star game. Can't wait till Domantas Sabonis, the pick and pop machine, hits a couple middies. No, they want to see Ben Simmons. Like,
Rudy Gobert is in this game, right?
Well, he has to be in it. I don't think there's another center in the Western Conference in the top 8, except Cantor.
You don't need a center. You could just go
be a forward.
DeMar DeRozan.
You could have slid Zion in there. And
I'm still waiting on who they put in for the AD replacement. I think Booker's.
It should be DeRozan. It should be. But
Mike Conley. Let's get Mac 11 in his first All-Star
Jordan
game.
Clarkson will make it before Mike Conley does.
So now that we've gotten all the ridiculous names out of the way, I think Devin Booker should take the AD injury replacement. But that, I mean, honestly, I totally agree. Sabonis has the statistics to do it, but I think I saw in a video that 77%
a video, thank God.
of players, 77% of players are putting up stat lines for all-star players like a decade or two ago. So it's kind of ridiculous. So like the statistics
Josh, the
aren't
game
really
has
a
gotten deeper.
humongous
The
thing.
video is our podcast.
It is.
I mentioned it on Sunday.
No, but oh, did you?
Yes.
Oh, you did. My apologies. Well, credit to Lehman for that one. I completely slipped up on that.
I mean,
but,
I didn't do the research. I think it was Hollinger, but yeah.
But the stats, I feel like he deserves it, obviously, but I just feel like the coaches were looking at like, all right, let's pick players that are going to make the game a bit more exciting. And I think that's
so
they
why
went in
isn't
the same
Ja a
direction.
West All-Star if you want the flashy boys?
Because it has to be kind of obvious.
I
No,
don't think Ben Simmons was obvious. 15.
no,
8,
no. We're not going that route. Ben Simmons
Solid.
was an All-Star. He was an All-Star. He deserves it.
You just
He
don't
wasn't
like
on your
Ben
list.
Simmons.
He
It's
wasn't on your
okay.
list last podcast.
I
He
just
wasn't
didn't think he'd get in, so I went. Oh, I went Middleton. I went trendy.
Don't
I
you
just
dare switch up. You were what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I have
You
gone
didn't
on
have
multiple-
him on your list because you
Okay,
didn't believe in Ben
This
Simmons.
pod,
Okay, all
J
right.
Sports pod, I have said the Sixers will make it out of the East, and Ben Simmons will be the big part defensively beside Joel Embiid. I am a
That's
Ben.
cool. Was he on your list on Sunday?
Okay.
He wasn't. He wasn't. But that
Okay,
doesn't mean I
George,
didn't
go
think
ahead
Downey
and
was
go
good.
ahead and discuss your all-star snubs.
Yeah, make an
Yes.
observation. We're getting a little. Sabonis should have been on it. I'm done bitching.
Booker is definitely the biggest one out west. He's gonna get in for AD. Out east, it's Sabonis as well. Vucevic was intriguing to me. He's definitely one of the more underrated players, but with the Magic sinking down that far, I would have put Sabonis over them because if we look at the Pacers right now, if you take Sabonis out, that team is respect to Malcolm Brogdon because he'd help win the games.
Lehman.
That team is like 10th.
You're discussing taking off Vucevic instead of Ben Simmons. I'll shut up. I'll keep talking.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of agree with Lehman on this one. I thought I was like the only one that was kind of vouching for Ben Simmons, and here comes George chugging along as soon
Yeah, because
as
Ben Simmons made the team.
Go
front
on
runner.
the J Sports podcast. I am the Ben Simmons truther. I do not want to hear
No,
this.
you're
don't
not.
say the.
I will text Josh right now.
I mean, all right. I mean, I feel like we've said our two.
We've
piece.
said, yeah. I didn't think DeRozan would get in, but I thought he deserved it.
I mean, it'd be kind of cool. I'm not
Yeah.
opposed to seeing DeMar DeRozan. I feel like that would be cool
apparently
for-
both my guys were boring, and
Let me phrase you
apparently
guys
Quinn
this.
Snyder cares about fun, exciting basketball when casting his ballot.
It's the
So-
All-Star game.
Let me phrase you guys this before we go. Do you guys think they should expand the rosters any bit? They're at
No.
12
No.
right now.
No.
No.
Because
I've
a lot
heard
of
this
people-
going around too. Yeah. But I'm not. You got to earn it, and then I'm a big stat guy. I didn't want to say anything during the rim thing because it was just a joke. But like then like at like you make a three, it's worth like more than like it made a three in like 2005 because like the rim's small and all that stuff. But like with here, like you make an all-star if they make it to 14, maybe 15 is a little much, maybe 14.
I was always thinking 13, but I mean, it's just crazy. A guy like Chris Middleton having a 50, 40, 90 season. I mean, 5 years ago, he's making an all-star for sure. And just
But
now,
yeah, like we
Kyle
said,
Korver did that 5 years ago, actually. in
like we
2015.
said, 77 players deserved it. Nothing says Chris Middleton should make it over. I keep saying it. Harrison Barnes. They almost have a nearly identical
just your-
stat line.
I love Harrison Barnes.
Besides the shooting
He at the
percentages.
Harrison Barnes line. That should be your whole thing.
But yeah, I think
just-
Middleton. You know, he would have made these stats would have made the All-Star team last year. Julius Randle was averaging 24 last year. So, you know, you if everyone else around you is elevating themselves, you got to elevate with them. And he's been better this year than last year, but tough luck.
And it's also another thing. If you moved it up, you would just have more people complaining, like, "Oh, this guy!" Like, there's always going to be snubs. And
Oh, go ahead.
I
thought
look
you
to
were
it like
finished.
the Josh will get this. The college football playoff.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna go.
Everyone's been wanting more and more because if you go 8, then they're going to complain 12 because it's always
Yeah.
the 5 and the 6 are
It's a
always
chain.
screwed over.
And then you move it to 12. We liked 8. There's too many teams now. So every fan
Or they
doesn't know what
even
they
want more. They want 16.
They want 16.
It's
And
like a chain.
Yeah.
So
it's you're just always going to keep asking for more because you go to 12, then it's like, oh, Michigan got robbed or Oklahoma State got robbed. So yeah.
Well, good stuff, guys. Yeah, I got all angry. Bottom line is, I think Sponge should have made it. Drozen should have made it. Oh well, that's how it goes. Final thoughts from you guys?
We got to do our look aheads, right?
We do gotta do our look ahead. So, I'll go first. I don't normally go first, so I'll take it here. Ow. The TNT Pelicans are playing the Bucks on Thursday night. Second game of a doubleheader on TNT. I got to rock with them. I mean, I've been preaching Pelicans don't lose national TV.
Also, the TNT Pelicans might be a legitimate contender, so the Bucks might have their hands full.
They smashed the Bucks last time they played. I think all their guards hit over 5 threes. I'll be looking at Alonzo Ball to see what the hell he can do. I'll be looking at Eric Bledsoe revenge game.
Eric Bledsoe on revenge game, yes sir.
Eric Bledsoe hit like 6.
They both had 7.
Time, yep.
Him and Lonzo both had 7.
So yeah,
wow.
I'm really looking forward to this one. And like you said, TNT Pelicans might be a real. If Bucks beat them, we'll talk about them because I know TNT Pelicans have a very good record. So, I'll hand this over to Josh. What's your look ahead?
So you were talking about a doubleheader. So the first game on that are the Dallas Mavericks headed to Philadelphia, not that it matters, to play the Sixers and Joel Embiid. And this is big. I mean, this could be a blowout because I don't think the Dallas Mavericks have a guy over 6'8" because I don't know if Porzingis played.
He's been out for a while, so I don't know if he'll play here.
Yeah. So this might be bad, and this might be a good bounce back for the maybe MVP front runner. He's kind of had a slump, and we've had some other names. I still think he has it, and Dallas 7-3 in their last 10. They're at 500 after I made that bold statement that they weren't going to make the play-in. So that's kind of rough. They've kind of done a temporary fix, but it'll be interesting to see, especially the Ben Simmons defending Luka Doncic. I feel like that will be fun, and it's always fun watching Joel Embiid abuse players that don't know how to defend him properly. So
word up, TNT's got some good ones on Thursday. George.
Alrighty.
Is yours also on TNT?
I don't believe so. You want me to check that for you?
It's not.
Okay.
It's Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Mine is the Lakers versus the Jazz, a battle of the top two of the top 3 teams in the West. Basically, what I'm looking for in this one is how do the Jazz defend LeBron James, because they got a guy like Royce O'Neal, but their wing defenders, I mean, they've kind of been in question.
Daddy Joe.
I think LeBron's going to do his way with that. For the Lakers side, the 3-point shooting, I got to see some shots fall.
Man, Georgia's going to be down so bad when Rudy Gobert has 50 rebounds.
Over Marcus. That game we go down 20 in the first half. I'm playing GTA and I'm getting off. So we'll see how long that game goes. Well, we're surely going to talk about that. So yeah.
So I'm not gonna before we're up here, I'm not gonna attack you for being a Laker fan because we all are. But you've picked the Lakers in these calendar circled ones like the Heat game. But are you really looking forward to this game? Without AD, there's no real benchmark to measure.
Really looking for?
Well, am I looking forward to it? No, because I think the inevitable is we're gonna get crapped on. But I think
we're getting clapped by 20.
I do want to see some things. Like what I want to see is shot making go down. I want to see more of like how the Jazz play, team ball movement. You know
what? I'm taking the Lakers on this one. I don't
know.
What's
the line?
Okay.
What's the line?
I think it's 8.5. I think the Jazz are favored by 8.5 points.
I got the Jazz on that one.
I'm taking LeBron. I
think
James.
I might take the Lakers. I think it might be close.
I'm taking the Lakers. I'm taking LeBron.
Our offense just looks clunky at times. It's Braun kind of just doing ISOs, taking
no
some bad
Schroeder.
threes.
It's not pretty. Yeah.
Wesley Matthews is gonna hit some dirty threes in the corner. Let me tell you.
I just need to see the shot. The threes falling is the most important thing to me. The defense has been fine. It's just the 3-pointers, and I don't get it because every team shooting like a historic clip this season. 3 teams have already passed their franchise record in threes, and the Lakers can't seem to hit the Pacific Ocean if they're sitting right in front of it. So
over under 15 threes to the Lakers this game. You taking it?
Under.
I taking under.
I'm being optimistic that I hope to see that we'll do it, but 15. I don't even know the last time we hit double digits unless it's gone to overtime.
One word would suffice, and my word is going to be over for this one. If they're gonna
Fair.
win, they got to do it.
See, I'll give you that. Yeah, I think the 3-point battle is going to be key here, as it always is with Utah.
Mhm.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for the night's episode. Thanks for watching and listening. If you like what you remember to follow us at THHoopers on Instagram and Twitter and say what's up. I guarantee you get a response, as George is never caught lacking without his phone. But besides that, thanks for being an OG. And by the way, Cole has submitted his entire lab unfinished.